Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to create a very basic two-page spread using both Photoshop and InDesign. Now the reason we use both is you'll tend to use Photoshop to prepare your images. So I'm just going to grab an image of the Arctic monkeys by going to Google Images. However, do remember you will need to take your own images. So if we click File, Save As, and then we'll save that to the desktop. So if we go into Photoshop, File, Open, Arctic, and I'm going to use Quick Mask again, which I've shown you in a previous tutorial, just to cut out the image of these guys. And again, I'm just going to do this very quickly because we will need to take this into InDesign. So this is going to be the main picture that we're going to use across our two pages. And what we're going to do is we're just going to set up some columns of text, add the image, add a header, and that will be pretty much all we'll need to do for our two-page spread. So like I say, I'm not going to make this perfect, I'm just going to do it very quickly. Just to get rid of that background so that we can use just a plain coloured background on InDesign. But when you take your own pictures, you do want to make sure that you're preparing your images appropriately in something like Photoshop. And then if we select Inverse, select Refine Edge. So that's what it's going to look like when it's cut out. So it's not the best image we've done, but hey ho, File, Save As. Always save as a PNG if you want to keep the transparent background. So I'll save that as a PNG. Press OK. So now we're into InDesign. Now to set up a two-page spread, you want to go to File, New Document. You want to keep this setting on default, but you want to go to A4. Sorry, I'll change that to custom. Number of pages we want is 2, obviously. Number of columns, now this is depending on what your preference might be. I do think that a 6-column setup is good, and you'll see the number of columns we'll go in a minute. And you want to set the bleed to 3 across the board. Now the bleed is basically just a margin that allows, when you send it to a printer, allows the ink to go to the edge of the page. If you don't put a bleed in, it will cut the page, and it won't cut the page at where the ink is, and it will leave a small white border. It doesn't look very good. So we've got our pages here in the Pages tab. If it doesn't appear, just click there, or I think you can go to Window and Pages, and you can see that they're on 2 separate pages. We can't see the 2-page spread, so you click here, and then click on Allow Document Pages to Shuffle, and then if you just click and drag, you've now got your 2-page spread. Now these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns that we set up. So if you don't want as many lines as this, you could change it to 1 and it will just have one big box, or 2 or 3 or whatever. Now if you press W, it gets rid of the guidelines and it just shows you what the magazine will look like. So we'll keep this in at the minute just while we set up our columns. And the first thing we want to do is put the image into place. So like Photoshop, File and Place. We'll click on the PNG that we've just created. Now I want this to be a little bit bigger than that. So that blue box is the bounding box. To change the size of the image, we need to double click, and holding down Shift, move the image so we can strain the property. Now that looks a little pixelated. Now in InDesign it will compress the images so that they don't display in the highest quality settings, just so you can work with the documents faster. So display performance, high quality display, and it should change it a little bit. This was quite a small picture, so it is unfortunately going to be pixelated. And we'll stop there for this video because I'm running out of time. And I'll show you in the next video how to add columns of text, and we'll tidy up the layout of this a little bit to make it a little more polished.